Let's talk about the Met Gala. It's just around the corner, and like every year, there's a lot of controversy around this event. Nevertheless, I find this year's theme quite interesting. It's called Tailored for You, and as you may know, there's always this close link to the annual Blockbuster exhibition of the Met Costume Institute. And this year, this exhibition focuses not only on menswear, but also on black fashion. And in this video, I'm going to talk what the Met Gala is actually about. We are doing a bit of fashion history, but not too much, I can't help it. Then I'm going to look into the rumored guest list and also this year's co-chairs. And then of course I would like to look more into this theme because for me it is very interesting. I know very often it feels that a lot of the guests don't even bother about reading the briefing of the exhibition or the theme. They just show up in some very extravagant or sometimes ridiculous outfits. But for me, it's very interesting to also look into that exhibition, learn more. And I do have to tell you, this exhibition sounds really interesting. I read the book that is the basis for this exhibition and I can highly recommend it. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Liz. I talk about luxury and fashion, and come on over, join the fun. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And before I dive into the details, I do have to do the housekeeping. This is a non-sponsored video. I'm just sharing my personal opinion and my research here. Everything is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. To get started, let me give you the 5 basic facts about the Met Gala. So first of all, the Met Gala takes place every year, always on the first Monday in May, and this year it's the 5th of May. While many people associate the Met Gala with the media frenzy, the celebrities, sometimes the ridiculous outfits, it's actually a fundraiser for the Metropolitan Museum and its Costume Institute. Number 2, because it is a fundraiser, the theme is always closely linked to the annual Blockbuster exhibition of the Costume Institute. This year the theme is called Tailored for You, and it links to the exhibition called Superfine, Tailoring Black Style. This exhibition opens on the 10th of May and it is going to be open until end of October. Number 3, who is actually invited? This is a well-kept secret until the gala. Usually it's 400 to 600 guests, and it's hosted by Anna Wintour, who is also the editor-in-chief of American Vogue, and she is supported by 4 co-chairs this year: Lewis Hamilton, Coleman Domingo, A$AP Rocky and Pharrell, and there's also a special honorary co-chair. Number 4, what happens at the Met Gala? Again, this is a well-kept secret, but we know some things, even though there's a strict no phone, no social media policy except for the red carpet. Usually the guests are the first ones to see the exhibition, and then afterwards there are high-level performers. Number 5, what about us commoners? We can watch the Met Gala on TV or on several live streams, for example on Vogue.com. Now, what is the Met Gala actually? I have the feeling that a lot of people talk about the Met Gala, but they actually don't even know the real reason why we have this Met Gala. A lot of people think it's a new event, that it's maybe 20 years old, because these are the images that we have in mind from the newspapers, from social media, but it actually dates back until 1946, where it started out as a charity event. And then the main reason later on for this Met Gala was actually a practical one, because in 1959 the Costume Institute became a full curatorial department, its own curatorial department, and they had to raise their own funds. So this is how the Met Gala actually came about, to raise funds for the Institute. The reason is still the same today. So it started out as this very intimate, exclusive charity event, invitation only. It was not as expensive as today, it was still expensive. And then the big push, the first big push, came under Diana Vreeland when she became the head of the Costume Institute. She was the one who introduced the theme in the 1970s, and she also started to open up the guest list. She started to invite celebrities, people from pop culture, Elizabeth Taylor, Elton John, Andy Warhol. So she made it a very interesting event. And then the second big push that probably made the Met Gala to what it is today was under Anna Wintour. She opened the event up even more to pop culture, and she turned it into this really big event that we know it today. And what a lot of people don't know, these extravagant costumes or ridiculous costumes, however you want to see it, they are actually a fairly new thing, and they also came about maybe by accident, I would even say. In 2004, they had a theme connecting fashion and furniture, and Amber Valletta wore a very extravagant costume relating to that theme. and it was in all over the newspapers. Back in the day it was the newspapers, this was before social media. And then after some time, more and more celebrities took up that idea, and unfortunately today a lot of people also use that to create a social media hype, to use it for their own platform. And speaking about the costumes, when I think about the Met Gala, I think about Rihanna's looks. For example, the yellow guapé look in 2015. I also think of the several Lady Gaga looks in 2019. And also I think about Blake Lively, even though she did not attend last year. And if I remember correctly, I also think she did not attend 2 years ago. And then sometimes people also use the Met Gala red carpet to make political statements. For example, politician Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez wore a dress by designer Aurora James, which said, "Tax the rich." This was a few years ago as well. And what happens at this Met Gala, I said already, it's a well-kept secret. It's the strict no phone, no social media policy. There were some leaked videos by celebrities. I'm not sure if Anna Wintour knew about it, but knowing Anna Wintour and her perfectionism, I think it may have been a staged marketing thing that she did not really mind when some celebrities leaked some of the videos. But what we know is that the guests can see the exhibition, and then afterwards there are high-level performers. Now, speaking about guests, how can we go to the Met Gala? It's actually not that easy because, first of all, we know that it's very expensive. Tickets 2 years ago cost $50,000 US. They increased last year to $75,000 US per person, which I think is also the price for this year. If you are a company, it was $300,000 2 years ago, now it's $350,000. But it's not only about the money, it's kind of like the game you have to play for buying an Hermes Birkin bag or for buying a Bugatti. You have to have a good relationship with Anna Wintour, or maybe also the co-chairs. So these are the people who decide who can actually come. So you can't just show up, drop the money and say, "I'm here, I want to attend." Until last year, the Met Gala has raised about $220 million US, of which 22 million were raised for the Karl Lagerfeld theme, and last year they raised 27 million US. So we see it's a very big event, not only in terms of the celebrities attending, also the media coverage, but also the funds raised. And I would also like to briefly talk about the sponsors. Usually this is quite a boring topic, but in this case I find it quite interesting. One of the main sponsors is Louis Vuitton. Again, Louis Vuitton, we just heard that they signed a 10-year deal with Formula One. I did another video about this. Now they are the main sponsor of this event as well. So they are obviously investing a lot in marketing. Then we also have Instagram this year, and this is also interesting. Last year's main sponsor was TikTok, and there was a lot of controversy around this sponsor. So I don't think it's a coincidence that this year the main competitor of TikTok is now one of the main sponsors. Then we also have a fashion platform, Africa Fashion International, which promotes Pan-African designs. Then we also have the private foundation of George Lucas and his wife Melody Hobson. This foundation focuses on arts, culture, education. And there's also the foundation of actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry. So why am I bringing those sponsors up? So yes, we have these big ones like Louis Vuitton, but we also have new sponsors or sponsors that we haven't seen at the Met Gala so far. And it shows that not only the Met Gala, but maybe also this theme this year spans across fashion and other segments, which I personally find very interesting. So who can we expect to see this year? As I said before, this guest list is a well-kept secret. And then there's also another fact around this guest list. Anna Wintour is very picky who gets to attend. She has the last say, and there are many rumors and tales around how she chooses the people on this list. There are also stories that designers bought tables. They picked their guests, and then Anna Wintour didn't agree and basically switched up the guests, put other people on that table, but the designers still had to pay. So this is also the game that is played at the Met Gala. So I think it will be like every year. It's going to be a mix of celebrities who currently have a moment and also Met Gala regulars. So I expect to see Ariana Grande, Miley Cyrus, Billie Eilish. And when we look into the regulars, I think we can expect Giselle Bündchen, Cara Delevingne, Elle Fanning. I'm curious if Blake Lively will be there this year. And then I also think we will probably see Rihanna because of her relationship with the Met Gala, but also another reason which I'm going to talk about in a bit. Let's talk about the 2025 co-chairs. I'm very honest with you, for a long time I did not really understand the exact role of the co-chairs. You saw them giving interviews, so for me it was mainly PR, but actually their tasks involve more than just this. So yes, their main task is this PR and marketing perspective. They give interviews, they are on panels, they should basically create some excitement around the gala and also the exhibition. But this is only one task. They are also involved in the guest list, also in choosing the performers, and on the actual night they are hosting the event with Anna Wintour. And one last task that they also have to do, in my opinion, a very important one, it's the fundraising perspective. So they are also bringing in potential donors who fund this gala. This year, I already mentioned it in the introduction, we have 4 co-chairs: Lewis Hamilton, Coleman Domingo, A$AP Rocky and Pharrell. I think it's a very smart choice. I found it very interesting to see them, and there's also an honorary co-chair, which I'm going to discuss in a bit. And when we look at this Met Gala theme, or actually the theme of the exhibition, which focuses on the Black Dandy, all of these 4 co-chairs stand for this theme. In a way, they represent a version of the Black Dandy. So I think this is very interesting. So these 4 co-chairs are also on the cover of the Met issue of Vogue, the May issue. Unfortunately, mine hasn't arrived yet in time for filming this video. Maybe I can show it to you for the next video about the Met Gala next week. It featured them on the cover, but also inside, and I think it was very well done. I will show you some pictures in a bit. So the first co-chair that I would like to focus on is Sir Lewis Hamilton, the racing driver. I was very happy, but also not surprised that he was chosen as a co-chair for this year. I think it's a very good fit. He has established himself in fashion. He has built his name. He's known for his style, his streetwear style, but also his sharp tailoring. And I also mentioned him last year in my video about the Met Gala, because I thought his outfit, which was styled by Eric McNeil, was one of the best interpretations of the theme Garden of Time. It had a close link to a story of a black gardener in Britain, and it was beautifully done. It was Burberry, so I'm really excited about his outfit this year and also his contribution to the gala this year. The next one is award-winning actor Coleman Domingo, who is also very famous for his fashion style. I personally really like it because you can see that also as a man you can have a lot of fun with fashion, and he still stays true to the classics and to tailoring. For example, he uses suits with interesting patterns or interesting colors, but he does it in a way where it's not too much or where it doesn't look ridiculous, in my opinion. I really like his interpretations, and I think this is yet another version of the Black Dandy and a very good fit for a co-chair of this year's Met Gala. The third co-chair is A$AP Rocky, and I find him interesting when we look at this Black Dandy concept, because his style shows a lot of dimensions. On the one hand, it's this typical streetwear hip-hop style. Then we also have outfits where he wore a lot of print. Then he has, for example, 70s inspired outfits. So he shows us a big bandwidth of style. And he is also a version of the Black Dandy. And you will see when I talk about the theme and also the book, which is the basis for this whole theme, that a Black Dandy can be many things. There are many different interpretations. So his style is different from Lewis Hamilton, Coleman Domingo, but it is also a Black Dandy. And I think this makes this topic so interesting and shows the variety of interpretations. And we all know why the last co-chair is who he is. It's Pharrell. He's the creative director of Louis Vuitton, and he stands for this close link between pop culture and fashion, which is becoming more and more relevant. And last but not least, I would also like to talk about the honorary co-chair. It's LeBron James. Unfortunately, I did not find too much information about his concrete role, but I think he stands for this close link between fashion and sport, which is becoming more and more important. And he also stands for the cultural impact of athletes and also their role in fashion. In addition to these 4 or 5 co-chairs, there is a host committee with quite a few people. I assume most of their tasks involve PR-related issues. And I'm not going to give you all the names because it's quite a few, but we have musician Usher, Tyler, we also have Andre 3000, we have representatives from the arts like painter Kara Walker. There's basketball player Angel Reese. There's also fashion editor Edward Anningful. So when you look at all these people and the different backgrounds, it already shows how many dimensions or topics this exhibition this year covers. Now let's come to the exhibition. I already mentioned it. For many people this is a side topic, but for me it's actually a cornerstone to understand the outfits, because I do hope that some people will read the briefing and they will show us some very interesting outfits. So I think for us it's very interesting to know the basics. So I already said this theme this year is tailored for you. Usually the Met Gala theme is a bit broader than the exhibition theme. I think it's also to give more room to interpretation, to include more people. And as I said before, the exhibition is called Superfine, Tailoring Black Style. And this exhibition is actually based on a book by Monica Miller. It was published in 2009. It's called Slaves to Fashion, and it focuses on Black dandyism, but also how fashion shaped the Black identity, or how the Black identity was expressed through fashion. And the choice of this topic is very interesting for many reasons. It was a long overdue topic, but also menswear has not often been a topic for these exhibitions. It's actually the first menswear focused exhibition since 2003, which was Men in Skirts. And Monica Miller is also a guest curator for the exhibition. As you may know, the main curator is Andrew Bolton, who every year plans these exhibitions. And I think it was a great choice to have Monica Miller also on board for this exhibition. As I mentioned before, I read her book. I find it really interesting. I highly recommend it. It's a non-sponsored video, but I just would like to share my opinion here. I think you can learn a lot from this book. And the challenge, according to Monica Miller, was that the book spans across 300 years. So this is a very long time frame in general, but then another challenge was to find artifacts, objects, garments, because it's fairly easy to find contemporary garments. But garments that are 300 years old, first of all, very often a challenge, but then we have an additional challenge. In general, as historians, we have the problem that the history of the well-to-do people is very well documented, because on the one hand, they had precious objects or garments that were handed down for generations. They also could read and write, so they documented their own family history, or they wrote diaries, so they also could afford to be painted, or there are photographies, so it's easier. And this is nothing special to this topic. This is a general challenge that historians have, and for this topic in particular, it was challenging to find the old garments worn by slaves. So Monica Miller said they managed to find garments, also objects, but the challenge was more than just to find those garments. It's also how to exhibit them in a respectful and also sensitive way. And this is exactly why, in my opinion, this book is so interesting, and also this exhibition is important, and also the Met Gala theme by extension is important. So let's come back to the core. What actually is a Black dandy? What is a dandy in general? So when we think about the dandy, most of us probably have a certain type of man in mind, usually very tailored suits, sometimes a hat. They can express themselves really well. So this was also the discussion during the Karl Lagerfeld exhibition 2 years ago, because Lagerfeld himself also was kind of a dandy. Even Coco Chanel herself was a female version of the dandy. So dandy can be expressed in many different ways. The concept of the dandy came up in enlightened Europe, and Monica Miller refers to an essay from 1896 by a quintessential dandy called Max Beerbohm. And he said, being a dandy, it means that you are interested in aesthetics, you live a very fashionable lifestyle, but it's more than just social life. He actually says in his essay that it's like the scent of flowers, that dandies diffuse the world with their sense of aesthetics, basically. And in general, dandies were seen as fashionable people, but I think it goes further or deeper than that, because they were not merely following trends, they were also trendsetters, or they were even expressing themselves or certain things via fashion. So a dandy could be a bankrupt aristocrat, but also a sexual outlaw. Very often they reflect social, economic changes, and this is also something that's very interesting. It's usually more than just the fashion. They wanted to express a certain, not only lifestyle, but also certain views with their fashion. In general, we can say that the dandies challenge what is considered normal in society, the structures of society, and the black dandy, according to Miller, takes it even further because they challenge class, gender, sexuality, nation. And Miller also says in her book that the black dandy or black fashion overall was impacted by their own history, imperialism, colonialism, the slave trade. And then this fashion also played a role, a very important role. So we see it's not something superficial, but fashion can also be very important in not only self-expression, but also showing resistance and also challenging the societal structure. And in an interview, Monica Miller said something really interesting because she said that they tried with the exhibition to show that a black fashion also reflects the rhythm and blues. And she means it reflects the beauty, but also the hardships that people experienced. And I really liked already the beginning of Miller's book because she makes a point right away. She contrasts two pictures. She describes musician Andre 3000, who has a very flamboyant fashion style, and then she also describes a painting of an unknown boy who is a servant to a white master, and he wears this bright red jacket with a padlock around the neck. And she says these pictures could not be more different because one is self-expression, independence, and the other one shows how black servants were stylized as these dandies. They were also used to trumpet somebody's wealth. They were used as luxury objects, we could even say. So we have these very contrasting images, and they also stand for the development in history. But from what I understood, the exhibition is not a chronological exhibition. They centered it around 12 topics, and they relate to an essay from 1934 by Zora Neale Hurston. And I think they try to work more with these topics rather than giving us a chronological exhibition, which in a lot of ways sometimes can be a bit exhausting. And this is an approach that the Met Costume Institute has also used in the past for other exhibitions. For example, I discussed this in my video about the Karl Lagerfeld exhibition. So what does this now mean? So now we know what is in the book, we know what is going to be in the exhibition. The exhibition has these old artifacts, but also contemporary designers. So we will see, of course, Pharrell, no surprise. We will see Grace Wales Bonner. We will also see designs by the late Virgil Abloh. So it's an interesting mix of contemporary and historical garments and also additional objects and artifacts to tell the story. And in terms of interpretations, I think it's a really interesting topic because you can do a lot with it. On the one hand, I expect to see a lot of tailoring. I expect to see a lot of suits on men and women, but probably with some twists. And also, I don't think it necessarily has to be suits because the Met Gala theme is tailored for you. So maybe it's also tailored dresses that also give a nod to the black dandy. So this could also be an interpretation. I know this is now my ideal version of what people could wear, and then probably I watch the live stream next Monday and then I'm like, why did I even bother? But I'm not giving up hope. I do think that this theme allows for many interesting outfits and interpretations. And because dandies tend to blend the lines between masculine and feminine, I think there will be a lot of gender fluid designs. And then I thought actually this Met issue of Vogue, this May issue, may be a good lookbook for us to think about potential outfits. Unfortunately, my issue that I ordered hasn't arrived yet, but I found pictures on the Instagram accounts of Vogue and also photographers Tyler Mitchell and Malik Bodian. So we can take these pictures and then we can already get an idea what you could do with that topic. For the Tyler Mitchell pictures, the styling was done by Law Roach, so you may know this is the stylist of Zendaya. If you want to learn more, I have another video on Zendaya's vintage looks. And the first one I would like to discuss is A$AP Rocky here in this tailored ensemble. I like the difference in the polka dots and that they also take up the Dalmatians, and it gives us very much dandy but a very modern contemporary version. The next one is Ayo Edebiri in this tweed ensemble. I like it very much because it shows tailoring, but it's not necessarily a men's suit that she wears. It's very feminine. I think it would have also worked really well for the Karl Lagerfeld theme, which was not so well interpreted by so many guests, but that's a different story. And this picture set in pink is one of my favorites. It's Tiana Taylor and Janelle Monáe. I like the movement or just the energy of this picture, and I also like how the outfits work with this pink setting. I like the tailoring, I like the black, white and red. It works really well, and it shows how also women can interpret this tailored for you, because when I saw the topic for the first time, I was a bit worried, okay, are we only going to see suits? But I think this is quite a good version of what you can do with it. I really like this tartan interpretation, because for me tartan kind of goes hand in hand with tailoring. And I feel that the female version worn by Iman Hammam does not really look too forced. It looks quite natural. For me, this is very much Met Gala. Aduta Ketch in this beautifully tailored coat with the flower details, the three-dimensional flowers. This would have also worked for last year's Garden of Time, in my opinion. I think it's really great, and I think this is something that we can expect to see on, or a version of this on some people. I also like this more classic picture of Jeremy Pope and John Baptiste, and I also like how Mayala wears this pinstripe suit and also the hat, because it is dandy, but still she has this very feminine touch, but also blending the masculine and the feminine. I think this is also a very good picture. It's probably more within the lines what people expect when we talk about the black dandy. Very much black, white, gray, but then we have a complete contrast of dandies in very colorful interpretations. So it also shows that dandies can express themselves differently. I like this combination of orange and blue. And on the side you can see Dapper Dan in this floral suit, which I really like because it's very much his character and his fashion. If you have not heard about Dapper Dan, he was very crucial not only for black fashion, but fashion overall. Also, Law Roach talks about his impact in fashion in his book. So I really recommend to read up on Dapper Dan if you haven't heard about him yet. So which designers to expect to see? First of all, I think we will see Louis Vuitton. It's not a surprise. That's why I mentioned it as a sponsor, also because of Pharrell's role. Then I also think we will see the big ones. We will see Dior. It's also part of LVMH. And I do expect to see Balmain because of Olivier Rousteing, who last year gave us this really cool dress for Tyler, this hourglass dress, which in my opinion was one of the best interpretations of last year's theme. I also think we can expect designs by Sergio Hudson because his designs have been on the red carpet of the Met Gala before. I also expect to see some names from the exhibition. I already mentioned Grace Wells Bonner, for example. I do think that, or hope that some people will also take up designers from the show. Probably we will see designs by the late Virgil Abloh, which again links back to Louis Vuitton. I also think we will see a lot of Thom Browne. He was very much represented last year, and also because of the tailoring aspect. And then I have a personal wish. I would love to see Kenneth Eze at the Met Gala. He's a Nigerian designer. He also has a close link to Vienna, so maybe I'm a bit biased. But I think this would be really cool to see his designs on the Met Gala red carpet, or whichever color they choose, because as you may know, in the past years, the colors of the red carpet changed. And coming back to Kenneth Eze, he is already quite established, but nevertheless, what I would like to see is a bit less of the big brands and more of the younger designers, up-and-coming labels, independent designers. I know it's a numbers game. You have these sponsors, they come in and they want their designs. Also, if you are a designer and you pay for a table, you want your designs to be featured. I understand this. But especially with this topic, I think it would be a great way to also give a platform to designers who are not that known yet. I expect that maybe Lewis Hamilton, I hope he does this, even though last year he wore a big brand, because he has promoted black designers, for example, in the past. And then I think it's also a great theme for vintage, and I actually would think maybe we see Anne Lowe, and maybe this is not the first name coming to mind because she did not really work in tailoring suits, but she is known for creating the wedding dress for Jackie Kennedy. And apart from her designs, when you look at herself, at pictures of Anne Lowe herself, you see that she also was kind of a black dandy. So I think this would be a great way to also honor her. And then when I saw the A$AP Rocky picture I mentioned before with the Dalmatians, it actually reminded me of a Patrick Kelly campaign from 1989. Maybe you see it with the polka dots and also the colors. So I think vintage Patrick Kelly, like this one, the white with the polka dots and the red accents, would be a good way. Maybe a more tailored option, or also this option with the black ensemble and this red flower in the middle. This would also be something really cool to see on the red carpet. And I'm saying this to also make a different point, because I think usually this Met Gala red carpet we associate more with haute couture, the big gowns, but because of that theme, I think there's more room for interpretation. It doesn't have to be a big ball gown. I also don't think it necessarily has to be floor length. So I think we can take some of these tailored options that are also shorter. And also, speaking of diversity when it comes to designers, I was really excited. Last year we saw quite a few Indian designs on the red carpet, some more literal, some less literal than others. Like for example, there was Alia Bhatt's sari that many people found really beautiful. Then there was also Mindy Kaling in this Gaurav Gupta structural dress, which I also liked, even though I preferred Cardi B's version, which she wore before the Met Gala in this bright blue even more. But I really appreciated to see that. And then I read that Sabyasachi Mukherjee will be represented at the Met Gala because Shah Rukh Khan will be making his Met Gala debut. And now some people who are not that familiar with India might now say, what are you talking about? It's really funny. Shah Rukh Khan is so famous, not only in India, but worldwide. But a lot of people in Europe or North America have never heard of him. So he is a mega star. And so is Sabyasachi. Sabyasachi Mukherjee is one of the biggest designers from India. He's not only famous in India, but also outside. And I find this interesting that we are going to see basically these two giants represented at the Met Gala. At the same time, again, it reminded me about the point that I made last year. These designers, Gaurav Gupta, even Rahul Mishra, who I would like to see this year at the Met Gala, Sabyasachi, they are all already very established. And I think it is a very good platform to promote designers who are not that established yet. I know maybe the Met Gala is like when you compare it to the Venice Biennial or the Documenta in the art world, where when an artist really makes it, they are exhibited there. But at the same time, I think the Met Gala, with all its social media exposure, would be a great platform to promote designers who are not that known yet. And this is also the end of my video, and now I would like to open the discussion. Please let me know in the comments below what you expect of this year's Met Gala. Are you going to watch it? Are you interested in it? And if yes, what are you going to expect? Which designers would you like to see? Or what do you think, how will people interpret the theme? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and if you learned something, it's quite easy to let me know. Just like my video or subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you prefer to read about fashion, I also have a lot of articles on my website, thepinklookbook.com, and you can also check out my fashion label Pelagona if you like. And if you enjoyed this preparation video for this year's Met Gala, I also have another video where I share my highlights from the Met Gala 2024. Thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next one.